Hello everyone, and welcome back to Chill English Channel. We're very happy you're here with us today.
Hi everyone. Whether you're relaxing at home, commuting, studying English, or listening quietly before sleep, thank you for spending time with us.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Jake.
Today, we're going to talk about something that almost everyone experiences, but rarely stops to think deeply about.
That's right. Today's topic is modern life.
More specifically, we're going to talk about why modern life feels so fast, stressful, and mentally overwhelming sometimes.
Modern life has changed dramatically over the past few decades.
Definitely.
Technology, social media, work culture, constant information.
Everything feels faster now.
And many people feel emotionally exhausted because of it.
I think one of the biggest problems today is that people rarely feel truly mentally quiet anymore.
That's such an important point.
Even during moments of rest, many people are still checking phones, scrolling online, or thinking about work.
The brain almost never fully disconnects.
Disconnect is a very important word in this conversation.
Yes, disconnect means separating yourself from something mentally or physically.
For example, sometimes I need to disconnect from social media.
Or, it's difficult to disconnect from work stress.
And for English learners, this is actually a very useful topic because modern life affects emotions, communication, habits, and relationships deeply.
Learning how to discuss these experiences naturally helps English sound much more realistic and meaningful.
Before we begin today's conversation, if you enjoy learning English through calm and thoughtful discussions like this, please subscribe to Chill English Channel.
Subscribing helps us continue creating peaceful and useful English lessons for learners around the world.
All right, Jake, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Do you think modern life feels too fast sometimes?
Honestly, yes. All the time.
Same.
Sometimes I feel like life is moving faster every year.
Why do you think that happens?
I think modern life constantly demands attention.
Attention from work,
Phones,
notifications,
emails,
social media,
news.
advertisements.
There's always something competing for our attention.
Competing for attention is a very modern experience.
Definitely.
People rarely experience true silence anymore.
Even moments of boredom have almost disappeared.
That's actually very true.
The moment people feel bored, they immediately check their phones.
Modern technology removed many quiet moments from daily life.
Which may sound small.
But mentally, it changes people a lot.
The human brain was not designed for constant stimulation.
Stimulation is another important vocabulary word.
Stimulation means activity that keeps the brain mentally active or excited,
Phones and social media provide endless stimulation.
which makes it difficult for the mind to truly rest.
Let's teach our listeners a useful sentence pattern.
Good idea.
One useful pattern is, modern life feels...
For example, modern life feels overwhelming sometimes.
Or, modern life feels very fast-paced.
Fast-paced is a great modern life vocabulary word.
Yes, fast-paced means busy, energetic, and constantly moving quickly.
Many people describe modern cities and lifestyles as fast-paced.
Another useful sentence pattern is, sometimes I feel overwhelmed by...
For example, sometimes I feel overwhelmed by technology.
Or, sometimes I feel overwhelmed by information online.
Overwhelmed means emotionally overloaded or mentally exhausted.
I think many people today feel overwhelmed constantly without even realizing it.
Especially because stress has become normalized socially.
That's such an important observation.
People are so used to stress that being busy almost became part of modern identity.
Sometimes people even feel guilty for resting.
Productivity culture plays a huge role in that.
Productivity culture is everywhere now.
Work harder, do more, wake up earlier, improve constantly.
Social media intensifies that pressure even more.
Definitely.
Online, people constantly see successful, attractive, productive lifestyles.
Which creates endless comparison,
Comparison culture is emotionally exhausting.
especially because people compare their normal lives to carefully edited online highlights.
Social media often creates unrealistic expectations about success and happiness.
Many people secretly feel like they are falling behind in life.
Even when they're actually doing fine.
Exactly.
Let's introduce another useful sentence pattern.
You can say, everything feels so these days.
For example, everything feels so rushed these days.
Or, everything feels so competitive these days.
Native speakers often use these days when discussing modern life changes.
Another huge difference in modern life is how difficult it became to focus.
Attention spans seem shorter now.
Definitely.
People switch between apps, videos, messages, and notifications constantly.
Multitasking became normal.
But many people now struggle to concentrate deeply for long periods.
Especially younger generations growing up with constant digital stimulation.
Attention span is another excellent vocabulary phrase.
Attention span means the amount of time someone can focus on something.
For example, social media may affect people's attention spans.
Or, my attention span feels shorter lately.
Another thing many adults feel today is mental exhaustion.
Definitely.
Work stress, financial pressure, constant communication, busy schedules.
Modern adults carry enormous mental loads.
Mental load is another powerful expression.
Mental load means the amount of mental responsibility and stress someone carries daily.
Many people feel mentally tired before the day even begins.
Especially because the brain rarely fully rests anymore.
Sleep itself often feels less peaceful now.
Phones affect sleep tremendously,
Many people scroll online until late at night.
which overstimulates the brain before sleep.
Overstimulated is another very useful word.
Overstimulated means mentally overloaded from too much activity or information.
For example, after spending hours online, I feel mentally overstimulated.
Or, modern life can make people feel emotionally overstimulated.
Another interesting thing is how modern life changed the experience of time itself.
Yes, many adults feel like years pass incredibly quickly.
Especially compared to childhood.
Childhood often felt slower and more peaceful somehow.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe because children experience life more fully in the present moment.
That's beautiful, actually.
Children notice small details more deeply.
They're less focused on productivity and future pressure.
Adults often live mentally inside schedules, stress, and responsibilities.
Which makes life feel rushed constantly.
Work,
Emails,
bills,
responsibilities,
notifications.
deadlines.
Sometimes people become so busy surviving modern life that they stop truly experiencing it.
That's honestly one of the saddest parts of modern society. I think many people secretly miss slower and quieter lifestyles.
Definitely.
More real conversations.
Less screen time,
More peace.
less rushing,
More presence.
less distraction.
Presence is such an important word.
Presence means fully experiencing and paying attention to the current moment.
Modern life often pulls people away from the present constantly.
Into the future.
Into worries,
Into notifications.
into endless information.
Another thing I've noticed is that modern life makes people feel constantly reachable.
Ah, yes, that's huge.
Emails, texts, social media messages,
People feel pressure to respond immediately.
which creates invisible stress.
Invisible stress is actually a great phrase.
Many modern pressures are psychologically exhausting, even if they seem small individually.
Constant notifications may not seem serious.
But over time, they slowly drain mental energy.
Draining is another excellent emotional vocabulary word.
Emotionally draining means slowly exhausting someone mentally or emotionally.
I think many people are beginning to realize that peace and quiet are becoming more valuable in modern life.
Definitely.
Silence almost feels rare now.
Which is probably why so many people romanticize peaceful lifestyles online.
Cozy homes.
Slow mornings.
Nature.
Reading books.
Quiet cafes.
Calm routines.
People crave emotional calmness because modern life often feels mentally loud.
And maybe one of the biggest questions today is this.
How can people stay emotionally healthy in a world that never truly slows down? One of the most interesting things about modern life is that people today are more connected than ever before.
But many people also feel lonelier than ever before.
That contradiction is fascinating.
Definitely.
We can instantly message people anywhere in the world.
Video call friends from different countries.
Share thoughts online immediately.
Yet many people still feel emotionally disconnected.
Disconnected is such an important modern life vocabulary word.
Yes, feeling disconnected means feeling emotionally distant from people, yourself, or daily life.
For example, sometimes social media makes me feel emotionally disconnected.
Or, modern lifestyles can make people feel disconnected from real human interaction.
I think modern communication changed relationships a lot.
Definitely.
Many conversations today happen through screens instead of face-to-face interaction.
Text messages, social media, emails, online comments.
And digital communication feels very different emotionally.
Especially because tone and emotion are harder to understand online.
That creates misunderstandings very easily.
A short message can suddenly feel cold or rude even when it wasn't intended that way.
Intended is another excellent vocabulary word.
Intended means planned or meant intentionally.
Overthinking becomes much stronger online sometimes.
Especially when communication lacks facial expressions and tone of voice.
Let's teach our listeners a useful sentence pattern.
Good idea.
The pattern is, sometimes I feel disconnected from blank.
For example, sometimes I feel disconnected from real life after spending too much time online.
Or, sometimes I feel disconnected from people emotionally.
Native speakers use disconnected very naturally during emotional conversations.
Another huge part of modern life is social media comparison.
Ah, yes, one of the biggest psychological problems today.
People constantly compare themselves to others online.
Appearance,
Success,
relationships,
money,
lifestyles.
even happiness.
Social media creates the illusion that everyone else is living a perfect life.
Illusion is a very important word here.
An illusion is something that appears real but is not completely true.
Online life is often carefully edited and filtered,
People usually share highlights, not ordinary moments.
which creates unrealistic expectations psychologically.
Especially for younger people growing up online.
Culture comparison affects self-esteem deeply.
Self-esteem means how positively or negatively people view themselves.
Constant comparison often damages self-esteem slowly over time.
Especially because comparison never truly ends online.
There's always someone richer, more attractive, more successful, or seemingly happier.
Which creates endless pressure emotionally.
Pressure became such a normal part of modern life.
Definitely.
Pressure to succeed,
Pressure to improve constantly.
pressure to stay productive,
Pressure to appear happy online.
pressure to keep up with everyone else.
It's mentally exhausting.
Let's introduce another useful sentence pattern.
You can say, people feel pressure to blank.
For example, people feel pressure to always be productive.
Or, many people feel pressure to appear successful online.
This pattern sounds very natural during conversations about society and emotions.
Another major problem in modern life is burnout,
Burnout is becoming increasingly common worldwide.
especially among adults balancing work, stress, responsibilities, and constant mental stimulation.
Burnout means emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by long-term stress.
Many people continue pushing themselves even when they're already exhausted.
Because modern culture often glorifies being busy.
Exactly.
Rest sometimes feels almost unproductive now.
Which is actually very unhealthy psychologically.
Humans need rest emotionally and mentally.
But many people feel guilty when they slow down,
Guilt around resting is such a modern problem.
especially among ambitious or perfectionistic people.
Perfectionism connects strongly to modern life.
Perfect bodies,
Perfect careers.
perfect lifestyles,
Perfect productivity,
perfect happiness.
which creates unrealistic standards for normal human life.
Standards is another useful word.
Standards are expectations or levels people believe they should reach,
Unrealistic standards often create anxiety and dissatisfaction.
especially because real life is naturally imperfect.
Another thing many adults experience today is emotional fatigue.
Emotional fatigue is becoming extremely common.
Constant stress slowly drains emotional energy.
Work pressure, financial worries, endless information, social comparison.
The brain rarely gets enough recovery time.
Recovery is another important word.
Recovery means resting and rebuilding energy after stress or exhaustion.
Many people physically rest without mentally recovering. Now that we've talked about social media, emotional exhaustion, burnout, distraction, and modern loneliness, let's focus on something important.
Yes, let's talk about balance.
Because even though modern life feels overwhelming sometimes, many people are slowly realizing they need a healthier relationship with technology, work, and daily stress.
Definitely.
More people are beginning to value peace, quiet, and emotional well-being.
Especially after years of constant stimulation and pressure.
I think many adults eventually reach a moment where they suddenly feel emotionally tired of rushing all the time.
That's such a relatable feeling.
Busy schedules, constant notifications, endless productivity.
Eventually, people begin craving something simpler.
Simplicity is becoming more valuable in modern life.
Definitely.
Simple routines,
Quiet mornings,
calm conversations,
spending time offline,
reading,
walking outside.
drinking coffee slowly without checking a phone every 2 minutes.
Honestly, that already sounds peaceful.
Modern life made simple moments feel special again.
Because true calmness became rare.
Calmness is another beautiful vocabulary word.
Calmness means a peaceful emotional state without stress or chaos.
For example, many people are searching for more calmness in daily life.
Or, quiet routines can create emotional calmness.
Another thing people are learning is the importance of boundaries.
Very important topic.
Modern technology made people constantly reachable,
Emails, messages, work notifications.
which makes it difficult to mentally disconnect.
That's why boundaries are becoming increasingly important emotionally.
Boundaries help protect mental energy and emotional health.
For example, turning off notifications, limiting screen time, or taking breaks from social media.
Small habits can affect mental health more than people realize.
Let's teach our listeners a useful sentence pattern.
Good idea.
One useful pattern is, I've been trying to, lately.
For example, I've been trying to spend less time on my phone lately.
Or, I've been trying to slow down and relax more.
Native speakers use I've been trying to very naturally during conversations about self-improvement and lifestyle changes.
Another useful expression is, I need more balance in my life,
Such a natural sentence.
especially in conversations about stress and modern life.
Balance became one of the most important emotional goals for many adults.
Because extreme productivity without rest eventually creates burnout.
Humans need recovery emotionally and mentally.
Rest is not laziness.
That's such an important sentence.
Modern culture sometimes makes people feel guilty for resting.
But resting is necessary for emotional health.
Definitely.
Another thing many people are rediscovering is the importance of presence.
Presence means fully experiencing the current moment instead of constantly thinking about the future or checking distractions.
Modern life often pulls attention away from the present.
Notifications interrupt conversations.
Social media interrupts quiet moments.
Anxiety interrupts relaxation.
That's such an important observation.
Someone may stop working.
But mentally continue worrying constantly.
Exactly.
Let's teach another useful sentence pattern.
The pattern is, sometimes I feel emotionally drained by...
For example, sometimes I feel emotionally drained by social media.
Or, sometimes I feel emotionally drained by modern work culture.
Emotionally drained is extremely common emotional vocabulary in English.
Another thing modern life affects is attention.
Definitely.
Many people now struggle to focus deeply for long periods.
Attention spans feel shorter.
Constant stimulation trains the brain to expect quick entertainment constantly.
Which makes slower activities feel harder sometimes.
Reading books,
Studying deeply,
quiet reflection.
even long conversations.
Modern technology changed the rhythm of daily life dramatically.
Rhythm is a beautiful word here.
Rhythm means the natural pace or flow of life.
Modern rhythms often feel fast, noisy, and overstimulating.
Especially in large cities.
Another major issue today is loneliness.
Modern loneliness is a huge emotional topic.
Many adults feel isolated even while surrounded by people online,
Online interaction sometimes replaces deeper emotional connection.
which leaves people feeling emotionally unsatisfied.
Humans need real presence and emotional understanding.
Presence means truly being emotionally and mentally with someone.
Many modern interactions feel quick but emotionally shallow.
Shallow is another excellent vocabulary word.
Shallow means lacking emotional depth or meaning.
For example, some online interactions feel emotionally shallow.
Or, people often crave deeper conversations and connection.
I think many people secretly miss simpler lifestyles emotionally.
Definitely.
Slower mornings,
Quiet evenings,
more face-to-face conversations,
less digital noise,
more emotional presence.
less constant distraction.
Distraction became one of the defining characteristics of modern life.
The mind constantly jumps from one thing to another.
Notifications,
Videos,
messages,
news,
algorithms competing endlessly for human attention.
which makes mental peace increasingly valuable.
Peace and quiet almost feel luxurious now.
That's honestly true.
Sometimes the rarest thing in modern life is simply a calm and quiet mind.
And maybe that's why so many people today are searching for balance, peace, and emotional simplicity again.
Many people physically exist somewhere while mentally being somewhere else completely.
Which is why mindfulness became so popular recently.
Mindfulness means paying attention to the present moment calmly and intentionally.
Simple things like walking, breathing deeply, or drinking tea quietly can become emotionally healing.
Healing is another beautiful emotional vocabulary word.
Healing means recovering emotionally or mentally from stress or pain.
For example, spending time in nature feels emotionally healing.
Or, quiet routines can be mentally healing.
Another thing modern adults are realizing is that happiness often comes from very simple experiences.
Definitely.
Real conversations,
Feeling understood.
laughing with friends,
Quiet evenings.
feeling emotionally safe.
Resting without guilt.
Modern life sometimes makes people chase bigger and bigger goals endlessly.
But emotional peace often comes from smaller moments,
That's honestly such an important life lesson.
especially because social media constantly pushes the idea that happiness must look exciting or impressive.
Expensive vacations,
Luxury lifestyles,
constant achievement.
endless productivity.
But many people slowly realize that emotional peace matters more than constant stimulation.
Peaceful lives may look boring online.
But emotionally, they often feel healthier.
Another important part of modern life is learning how to protect attention.
Attention became extremely valuable.
Companies, apps, and social media platforms constantly compete for human attention.
Which means protecting focus requires conscious effort now.
Conscious effort means intentional action and awareness.
For example, I'm making a conscious effort to reduce screen time.
Or, I'm making a conscious effort to spend more time offline.
Let's introduce another useful sentence pattern.
You can say, sometimes I need to take a break from blank.
For example, sometimes I need to take a break from social media.
Or, sometimes I need to take a break from work stress.
Taking breaks is important emotionally and mentally.
Another thing many adults are beginning to appreciate is slower living.
Slower living means intentionally choosing a calmer and less rushed lifestyle.
More people today are romanticizing peaceful routines and quiet lifestyles.
Especially after years of overstimulation and burnout.
Modern life moves incredibly fast.
Which is why slowing down feels almost rebellious sometimes.
Honestly, that's true.
Choosing rest in a culture obsessed with productivity feels surprisingly powerful.
Another important lesson modern life teaches people is that constant stimulation does not create lasting happiness.
Sometimes too much stimulation actually increases anxiety and emotional exhaustion.
The human mind needs quietness too.
Quietness gives people space to think, reflect, and emotionally recover.
Many people today are rediscovering hobbies that feel slower and calmer.
Reading,
Cooking,
journaling,
walking,
gardening.
spending time in nature.
These activities help people reconnect with themselves emotionally.
Reconnect is another excellent vocabulary word.
Reconnect means restoring connection after distance or disconnection.
For example, many people are trying to reconnect with simpler lifestyles.
Or, I'm trying to reconnect with hobbies I used to enjoy.
Let's talk briefly about mental health.
Very important topic.
Modern conversations about mental health are becoming more open.
Which is a positive change.
People are speaking more honestly about anxiety, burnout, loneliness, and emotional exhaustion.
Emotional honesty is becoming more accepted socially.
And maybe one of the healthiest things people can do is admit when they need rest emotionally.
Definitely.
Nobody can stay mentally strong every single day.
Humans naturally need rest, connection, peace, and recovery.
Let's teach one final useful sentence pattern.
The pattern is, I'm learning how to blank.
For example, I'm learning how to slow down and enjoy simple moments.
Or, I'm learning how to protect my mental peace.
Those sentences sound very natural and emotionally mature in English.
Let's do a little speaking practice.
If possible, try answering these questions out loud.
First question, what part of modern life feels most stressful to you?
Second question, how does technology affect your daily life emotionally?
Third question, what helps you relax and slow down?
Fourth question, do you think social media affects mental health negatively?
Fifth question, what does a peaceful life look like to you?
Try using the sentence patterns we practiced today.
For example, modern life feels blank.
Or, I've been trying to blank lately.
Or, sometimes I need to take a break from blank.
Speaking out loud helps emotional English become more natural and automatic.
And modern life conversations are excellent for improving real conversational fluency.
Before we finish, let's quickly review what we talked about today.
We discussed social media, burnout, overstimulation, emotional exhaustion, loneliness, and modern stress.
We also talked about productivity culture, comparison, attention spans, and the importance of emotional balance.
We learned useful vocabulary and natural English sentence patterns for discussing modern life and mental health.
Most importantly, we talked about something almost everyone experiences today.
The feeling that modern life sometimes moves too fast.
And maybe one of the biggest lessons is this.
Slowing down is not weakness.
Rest is not laziness.
Protecting your peace is important.
And simple moments often contain the deepest happiness.
Now it's time for our question of the day.
What helps you feel calm in modern life?
Write your answer in the comments.
You can begin your sentence like this. One thing that helps me slow down is blank.
We always enjoy reading your answers.
It's a wonderful way to practice your English writing skills.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe to Chill English channel.
Subscribing helps us continue creating calm and meaningful English lessons for learners around the world.
Keep practicing a little every day.
And remember, learning English is a journey.
Goodbye, everyone.
See you next time.